Hello, and welcome to how to determine the best way for you to build your business and replace your income and stop looking at what everyone else is doing. I am here with my biz bestie, Celia Faye Meisel, and you may have seen the Facebook Live that we did a couple of weeks ago when we were together in person masterminding on how to be a successful, sensitive, intuitive, introverted entrepreneur. And really, we talked about how impactful that was. We heard how impactful that was for a lot of you. We decided we wanted to build on what we shared there with some strategies and some tips for you in this very live stream. So we want you to say hi and tell us where you're watching from, whether live or on the replay, so we can say hi back. And we're going to dive in. Take it away, Celia.
Dive in. All right. We're so excited to be here. Okay, so we want to really just kick off today's live stream with for us letting you know, we know where you are, where you're coming from, what's going on in your life and your business right now. And we both have the understanding that, in all honesty, there's no one direct path for a sensitive, intuitive, introverted entrepreneur. You know, you're multifaceted, you're multi-talented, you have multi-passions, there's just a lot going on for you. And there's some challenges that come with that because you'll focus on many things. And what happens when you focus on many things, Christine?
Oh my goodness. So focusing on many things, especially when, let's say, you're in a side hustle or you're early on in a stage of business where, you're just deciding on an idea or you're looking for that first or next client, you're working on replacing your income so that you can quit or stay out of your 9-to-5 job, right? It's very quickly you get into overwhelm, like so fast. You get overwhelmed, your brain gets totally overloaded, and you keep yourself stuck. You get and keep yourself stuck. Here are some of the ways that we do this to ourselves, thinking that this is maybe something productive that we're doing, but in actuality, not at all. All right. One way is that we opt in to a lot of freebies that we see in our Facebook feed or our Instagram feed, like a webinar or a bunch of downloads or some shiny object, right? Who's been there before? I know I have. And I have one client, and we laugh about how her default when she's feeling overwhelmed is just to start opting into all the webinars that she sees, thinking it's going to solve the problem. So not going to, because how many downloads are sitting in your downloads folder? How many links, how many emails do you get about this webinar that you never watched, right? So that's one way that we get overwhelmed. Another way that we overwhelm ourselves, really, thinking that one of these things is going to be the thing that solves our problem. Another way is that we endlessly Google things. We Google things, right? We Google and then we're like, 10 tips for productivity, 10 ways to stop procrastinating. And we promptly do none of them, right? Or we get into our feed and we see what everybody else is doing. We scroll and we're like, oh my gosh, they're so much farther along than me, right? They're so much farther along than me. I should just stop right now. And we depress ourselves and go into a downward spiral, right, Celia?
Right.
Anything else that you could add to that?
Yeah, the thing is when you have that mindset, and these are Christine's words, you're looking for that magic bullet that's just gonna fix everything. That's actually where the problem is sitting, is looking for something that, number one, assuming that something is wrong, which we're going to go into the next tip.
Yeah.
And then assuming that you need to be fixed, that somehow you're broken, that somehow you don't have all that it takes.
Yes.
That somehow, you know what I'm saying? It's just a very unhealthy way of treating yourself and approaching yourself, and definitely approaching your business. And so when you feel like there's something wrong with you, and that this like certain system is like going to be that thing, this opt-in is going to be that thing, that's going to create some friction in your life just in itself. And then you have an overloaded inbox, and then you have, all of this stuff, and you're just like compounding, I've heard of people talking about like compounding interest, and not so much, financial, but like energetic in this case, where you're getting sort of that negative interest accumulating in your energy field, and it's weighing you down. And if that space were freed up for you, you could be doing so much more, and you would be feeling like you were living the life that you want to live, because we know that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like clearing the clutter.
Yep.
Right? So the action step here is stop opting into everything. You already know you already know enough to be successful, and you already know enough to begin to trust yourself, because you will, like, you already are surrounded by the right opportunities for you right now. So stop treating it as if somebody else has something that you don't, and begin to tell yourself, I already have what I need to take the steps today. I'm going to clear this clutter from my inbox and from my head so that I can listen to myself, get the support that I need, instead of just trying to piece together a million different things for free because everybody else has the answers that you don't. It's a really important mindset shift, and also action step that you can take to commit to yourself to stop opting into everything because you think somehow that's going to make you successful. As a person developing your own path and building a business in your own way, all those opt-ins are not going to serve you. So it's time to stop opting. It's time to stop opting into everything, to listen to your 2 or 3 most favorite people who have the things that you want, who have the kind of business that you want, someone you would trade places with, right? Only take advice from someone you would trade places with. Instead of like some random dude on YouTube with like a sideways trucker hat who's like standing in front of a mansion. Like, that's one of my favorite examples. Like, why? I don't want to be him. Like, why would I click on that ad? Like, why does he even show me that ad? Like, there's nothing appealing about that to me. Anyway, listen to people you would trade places with, and stop opting into everything you see. Also, I want to apologize for my yellow tongue. If anyone has noticed that, I'm on this like detox cleanse thing, and I'm taking turmeric in like very concentrated amounts, and it has totally stained my mouth yellow. So now you're going to be looking for that, but I tend to open my mouth up a lot when I'm live streaming, and you're going to catch a glimpse. It bright yellow.
That's hilarious.
Let's check the comments. Hey. Hi in Waco. Watching, listening from work. I like it. Hey, LA. I love this. We're using Be Live, and we can't see who's commenting. It's just a comment from Facebook. So I see you, but I just don't see your name. Soon I'll be coming from Florida. Yay. I think I know who that is. Hi, everyone. Awesome. So glad that you're here. Okay, so your action step is to stop opting in, and also to try to catch a glimpse of my bright yellow tongue.
Yep. And then we have a couple mindset pieces for you too, along with this, kind of clearing out the distractions, clearing out the overwhelm, and something that will help you to just to basically stop yourself and just pivot your energy to resist signing up for more stuff, if that's where you are. Because that's a very particular place. And that place, like Christine said with her one client, it can show up when overwhelm hits. It can be just like a pattern. It's not always there, but then it comes in and it hits you like a ton of bricks. And then you're like, well, oh crap, what do I do? Yes. So 3 mindset pieces that will help you get back into your center and give you the clarity that you need to have is, number 1, know who you are. Know who you are.
Do you know who you are?
Do you know who you are? Okay.
If you're listening to everyone else, you probably aren't hearing yourself.
Exactly. The second one is knowing what you want. What are your desires? What are you, what do you want right now? That's what I always tell my clients when we get on the phone and they have this whole like scheme and this whole thing going on. And they're like, all these I want to do this mastermind in 2 years. And I always say, what do you want right now? Right now.
Yep.
So know what you want, and you can add right now in parentheses.
Yes.
And the third piece is know where you're going, know where you're headed. So what are you doing right now that's going to support you on that path of where you're heading?
Yep. Yep. These are so great. So let's talk about some examples, right?
Yes.
Do you know who you are? Are you making space to listen to yourself, right? Who you are, what makes you unique, because those are going to be the very things that your clients are attracted to. So for instance, like I had a conversation with a client this morning who is just kind of coming to the realization that like there's nothing new under the sun, right? So when I wrote my book, there's nothing new in there that I invented, right? I am using proven strategies that people have used before, but what makes it unique, what made it a bestseller, is the way that I told it. What makes clients work with me is the way that I work with them, how they feel when they're working with me, the results that I help them get, right? Like, I think so often we compare ourselves and say, oh my gosh, the first thing we do when we like are trying to decide a business title or a title for ourselves is like go online and search for other people doing it and then get depressed because they have 1 million followers and a big fancy website program, whatever, right? But like, who cares? Nobody has your story. Do you even know what it is, right? Are you really clear on the parts of your story you want to share? Are you really clear on who exactly you want to help, which comes out of who you are, right? Those things are so important. Anything that you would add to that on knowing who you are?
I think you nailed it.
Whoop, whoop. Nailed it. Okay. So then knowing what you want right now, I love that tip from Celia, because what you put your focus on expands, right? You create what you put your focus on. So if you are, if you're constantly stressed about and saying to yourself over and over and over, I don't have enough clients, I don't know what to do, feel like there's something wrong with me, I wish someone would come in and fix my business, like stop that right now, because right now you are continuing to perpetuate that being true. You're telling your brain, this is what we believe. Let's continue to find ways to make that true and make that our reality and make that our experience. And that's brain science. Like whether you're into woo-woo or not, like it's brain science. Okay. So what do you want right now, right? Do you want one-on-one clients? Sometimes I hear people say, well, I see this other person doing, a group program, but I really like working one-on-one. Cool. Do that, because guess what? The point of running your own business is, to do things that are fun for you.
Exactly.
And whatever you're selling. I see the question about example related to product sales versus coaching. Same. Like, what do you want? What do you want this business to feel like?
Right.
How can you bring more of that into your experience right now?
Exactly. And yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And just take that time to unpack all of your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions around it, really sit with it. And like that, it goes back into knowing who you are. And
yeah.
And just tuning in and acknowledging, because every day it's gonna evolve, especially if you've been denying yourself your dream, if you've been denying yourself because you have been saying yes to overwhelm and saying yes to all the opt-ins and saying yes to the magic bullet, it means that at the steep level, you're denying yourself. And so that first day, because I know that some of you may be overwhelmed by us saying, know who you are, know what you want,
yes.
and where you're going. I know, I'm well aware that may freak you out and that may feel like the hardest thing ever. Christine and I have both been there before. Yes. So know that first step toward it isn't going to be this whole like, oh yeah, hey, Christine and Celia, I know it all. It's like it's an unfolding within your own self.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's why the opt-ins and the magic bullets don't solve the problem of what needs to be solved,
Yes.
because you need a process, right? You need an unfolding, you need a space, a container, not this like boom, shot to the heart and everything's awakened.
Yep. Yep. So the thing is like that I know, especially for high achievers, right? A lot of times the thing that feels the scariest is like making time to sit with yourself. And it's like very unnatural, because it's like, oh, well, I'll do the opt-in, or I just give me a better to-do list, give me a better plan, right? But the thing is that like I always say, when the mindset is strong, the strategy is simple. And the thing that we resist doing the most is probably the very thing that could make the biggest difference for our business and our level of happiness building our business.
Right.
And so if that's something that if you recognize that story in yourself, like I'd love to hear, because I know I was there for a long time. Like, I don't need mindset stuff. Like, I don't need to sit with myself. I don't have time to sit with myself. Journal. What are you talking about? Like, I just need a better to-do list. I just need a better plan, right? I just need more time. I just need something outside of myself is the common thing, all of that stuff, right? As opposed to like making the space to listen to myself, figure out what I actually want, ask myself, where am I actually going so that I have a plan, right?
Right.
So that I can create that plan. And because the strategy comes out of knowing what you want, knowing where you're going, and knowing who you are. Does that make sense? Let us know in the comments if you have questions about that, or you're like, that sounds really weird. At this point, please. Love to hear some feedback on that.
Yes. Yes. And why don't we go ahead and go into our next point? If you want to check the comments, I'm not seeing comments on my end.
Okay, yeah. I think we're all caught up on comments. So
nice.
Someone says, I've stopped signing up, etc., partly because I don't have the time. Yeah, you don't have the time for that ish, right? It doesn't serve you, That's great. Whatever the reason you stopped is perfect. I love that. Awesome. Okay, so you or me, babe?
So one thing that Christine and I see quite often we see this a lot. Christine, do you want to say it? What we see?
No, I want you to say it.
Okay. What we see is a lot of entrepreneurs. Now, we both hang out a lot with women. So I know I've seen this a lot from women. I'm not sure about men so much because they have a totally different energy anyway in business and life, but that's a whole other live stream. But what we see is a lot of people saying that the business has to prove itself before they're going to, replace their income. Before they're going to build their business, the business has to prove itself.
Yes. Yeah. So the thing is, and whether or not you have actually said that, you may be behaving as if you believe that's true. So let me tell you an example. I was talking to a client yesterday who said, I just need X number of clients, and then I can get the support I need to learn to get better at showing up in sales. And I was like, say what? That is actually backward, because you're putting the pressure on the business to prove itself to you before you learn how to run the business, right? Before you get the help that you need, before you get the pieces in place to learn how to overcome what's been keeping you stuck. If you found yourself in the same place for a long time, it's probably because you don't have the help, the support to move through that block. You've gotten as far as you can on your own. And this is what we all do. This is totally natural. It's the human condition. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means that's your opportunity to go, okay, where am I stuck? And what am I going to do to move past that? A lot of times it's get help rather than say, well, this business has to prove itself to me by being successful before I go and do the thing that's going to help me be successful, right? Recognize that that's illogical. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Celia?
I feel like something's coming through right now about just kind of pinpointing how this might be showing up for you.
Yes.
This forcing the business to prove itself, and then I have a fun little analogy that I use to describe this as well, so you can get the picture. Now, let's say that you've already run successful businesses. Let's say that, Christine and I both had entrepreneurial experience and had our own businesses before we became coaches, right? And so that's actually what qualifies both of us to be business coaches. Just in case you didn't know what qualifies somebody to be a business coach, we both had years of experience in entrepreneurship, running our business, making a full-time income as entrepreneurs. And then it was like a calling. I know for me, Christine, I don't know if it was a calling for you. It was a calling, of course.
This is my life's work.
Exactly. To step into coaching, to step into leadership, to move in that direction. So that's a little bit about our evolution. So when we came into these businesses, we already had a whole background of entrepreneurship. So that my 0 to 15K story, Christine had like 18K month, like very quickly in her business. We both had these quick results because we had a lot of experience and because we had coaches that were guiding us from step one. Day one, we had coaches.
Yeah.
To get
Yes.
us going.
Yes.
Okay. So it was a little bit of a faster evolution for us because we were just in and we had entrepreneurial experience. Now, let's say that you're a person that you haven't had a coach. Let's say that this is your first business. That you've been an employee your whole life and just always had that entrepreneurial dream, right? It's different for you because you're learning everything about being an entrepreneur. Right. So that's where part of it could be. You could be coming in and trying to sign up for the opt-ins and coming back to that first topic is because you feel like there's so much to learn. Okay. So where you are, your experience and your evolution is going to contribute to how rapidly you evolve as well as your mindset. Okay. So am I speaking too big here, Christine? Because I want to make sure the point's coming through.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'd love to hear from you all if you have questions about that. I think the two key points are recognize and give yourself permission to be where you are in business. And also recognize that we're saying that the secrets to our success are twofold. We had experience running businesses. Our secrets to our fast success, I guess. We had experience running businesses, yes, but we were also coached from day one.
Yeah.
Day one.
As Christine said, we were coached within an inch of our lives.
100%. I continue to be. And I need it.
Right.
Wait, what?
And, I don't even tell that's a whole other thing. But it's just because people are like, oh, you have a coach, and it's if I'm not continually seeking the support and stepping into that energy that I'm calling through, knowing what I want now and knowing where I'm going, right? I'm not going to be, it's just a part of that partnership. So my fun analogy, it goes like this. Let's say that you are a newbie business. Okay. You're a green, ripe, fresh entrepreneur, and you're just getting started. You would not give a toddler keys to a car and make it go drive the car. Okay. So look at your business as like a baby, right? It's an infant, and then it's a toddler, and then it grows up. And so the more mindful and focused and strategic you are about that process, the more rapidly the business is going to evolve and unfold.
Yep.
Okay, and that's my best analogy.
I love that. I love that so much, especially because I have a toddler.
Yes. And you're like, hey, go take the car for a spin,
Right. Girlfriend threw herself on the ground at the doctor yesterday because she couldn't take the huge basket of Dum-Dums out the door with us after we checked out. I had to carry her out crying. Right. So, it doesn't baby brains
right.
are not, there's so much noise in the online space about being, about those 6 days to 6 figures.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, building an online business is still building a business. It's still building a business. Yes, the barrier to entry is lower. Yes, this is the best time ever. Yes, you can do it with less startup investment and all of those things. So grateful to be pioneers in this space and to be walking this journey alongside all of you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you for being here. Thank you for paving a path, because we really are pioneers, especially as women. But it goes back to that overwhelm thing, right? Like, stop telling yourself there's something wrong with you because you haven't had these results that very likely came from someone struggling for several years or laying groundwork for several years and having moderate success, and then having that fast result when they'd already laid a solid foundation, when they'd already been supported.
Right.
There's always a story behind the story. Always.
Yeah.
Always. That doesn't fit in a headline of an ad.
Yep.
It's never as simple as it seems.
Right.
Let's check the comments. I find there tends to be a lot of pressure externally to want to have things figured out right away to prove I'm not failing. When you say externally, whoever that was, do you mean from other people, or do you mean you're putting that pressure on yourself? Tell us, and we can talk a little bit more about that. Someone else says, I'm feeling financial pressure because I need my business money just to live and support my horse. So I want and need faster sales results, but I'm in the category of not having entrepreneur experience. Okay. So I would say,
really, those are awesome, thoughtful comments. Wow.
Yeah. I love that.
And we will come back and circle back around too after, and can give some direct input. I definitely will. And so so that's a real life situation. You need the business to produce. So one thing that Christine and I talked about in preparing for this live stream was, like, it's not so much having the business prove itself to you, but you proving who you are to the business, which is the leader, which is the entrepreneur, right? The business only exists because of you.
Yeah.
Okay. It only exists because of your creation. There are some spiritual, energetic components that perhaps Christine and I will dive into in a future live stream. We'll talk about that, but it's purely based on your energy. And from just personal experience, being in that space of feeling like it's a financial pinch, and it doesn't necessarily create the urgency that of going out and getting the money, right? Like, scarcity kind of breeds scarcity, basically, is the simplest way to put it.
That's what you're focused on, right?
Right. So when you're in that, knowing what you want and knowing where you're going, which is X dollars a month flowing in consistently to pay for the boarding, to pay for the food, to all of the things. I know. Like, just to to pay for all of those things, then that's gonna feel good to have all of those things, and that should create a rise in your energy to where you're like, yeah, I'm meeting my desire. And
yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. And I think the other two things to check in on are, like, are you continually learning, and are you allowing yourself to be supported, right? Like, because those are the two things that Celia and I have found to be so key in our journeys.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, a comment says, I was searching all over YouTube till I found the coach who I felt paralleled my mission. I cut out all the noise from others that weren't as relevant. Love that. Love that. Got it for Dummies book about digital marketing because that's my pursuit. Join Life Passion. Now I'm on the right path. Awesome. Okay, beautiful. So, like, whatever it takes, right? You went and found the person who you felt was right for you that you can learn from. And that's so much of the game, is finding someone you feel like you can learn from, because that's the person who you will allow yourself to learn from.
Right.
That's the person you will trust to speak into your business, into your life, who will hold you accountable, and who you will allow yourself to be made accountable to, and you will follow through, right? Because you invested. That's so much of the game.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so if you are feeling like you're, like, any of this stuff, like you were stuck, overwhelmed, you're spinning your wheels, you feel like there's something wrong with you, You find yourself sometimes looking for like that magic fix, that magic bullet. What we want to look at doing is solving the right problem, right? So that you can replace your income, so that you can make some real traction around here. And I think we're each going to share a little bit of a story from our own lives, from client lives, about solving the right problem and about how this has shown up in our lives. And then we have a special invitation for you. So you're going to want a side code. Cool. Do you want to go first for story time, or do you want me to?
You go first.
Okay. So I know that one of the things that I personally have really struggled with in my last business was burnout. And I think that as high achievers, I think that as sensitive people, I think that as intuitive people who are very in tune with what other people are feeling and thinking, it's really easy to get burned out because we haven't yet learned to think like entrepreneurs, because we've spent our lives being trained to be good employees. In school and on the job. We have learned to be good employees. And so what happens when we start our own businesses, when we're just doing it by ourselves, is that we replace the feeling of homeostasis, of normalcy, that we replicate it, not replace it. We replicate it in our own business, because that's the feeling we're used to. We're used to always having things to do, like extra, having somebody else set expectations for us. So then we find our clients setting our expectations and being like really attached to like, oh my gosh, what if they need me? What if they don't get results? What if I can't help them? Whatever, that kind of energy, like sneaking off to the bathroom to check your email energy, just in case someone needs you kind of thing. Totally guilty of this. I think that what we need, the opportunity is to like recognize that burnout is real and that we will continue to replicate it unless we learn how to think differently. And out of that flows, of course, taking different action, right? Out of how we think and feel about our business. So I went from feeling like it was never enough. I had to work all the time. I couldn't figure out I had replaced my income, but I couldn't figure out how to go beyond that on my own, because that's just what I was used to. Again, that homeostasis. I couldn't delegate. I couldn't figure out how to scale. I had all these messed up stories. And it wasn't until I saw somebody who had what I wanted in terms of a bank balance and a business that looked really fun, and got her help to fix mine, which is what I thought I needed at the time, right? What? Were you gonna say something? Oh, okay. That everything started to change, like, just to put it very simply. And so I think like it's recognizing, for me, it was like, oh my gosh, like I'm on the edge of burnout. I cannot continue to do this. Like, this is not sustainable for the rest of my career. So are you feeling that way? Or do you want to avoid feeling that way, right? You've got to start learning to think like an entrepreneur. And I think being willing to put limits on your time. Like, I have a client whose value is she wants to work 4 hours a day. So cool. Like, you can totally build a business that you want in your terms in 4 consistent hours a day. Awesome. Like, and I think it's, again, comes back to what Celia said about knowing who you are and knowing what you want and aligning everything to that. Because the point of the business is not to run your life. That's not a life with passion, right? It's the other way round. What about you? What would you add to that, Celia?
Oh my gosh, there's so much wisdom in there, Christine. I relate so much to the burnout and, the 4 hours a day. There are days that I would give anything to work 4 hours because my business brings me so much joy. And my husband and I have been traveling around a lot lately. So it's just been kind of like checking in. And anyway, so when you build your business around your lifestyle, you'll find that you're actually like living your life a lot and your business doesn't require as much and you don't even need 4 hours a day. Sometimes just 1 hour is all.
Totally. And giving yourself that permission.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be, right? And we're not saying that building a business doesn't require work, but it's not hard when you're focused. It's not hard when your inbox isn't full of you hearing from all these competitors, trying to learn from them, when you don't have any idea what's going on behind the scenes in their business, when you have a completely different niche, when you have completely different desires and life, right? It's so important to be really focused on you as an individual and learn the wisdom that applies to you specifically and let the rest go.
Yeah.
That's how to do this and stop looking at what everyone else is doing, right? That's how to build a business that you love. I'm checking the comments, and the person from before said the external pressures are from spouse, family, and friends who may not understand what I'm doing. Oh, Celia and I could talk about that for the rest of our lives. It happens to everyone. First of all, that's the important thing for you to know. It's a rite of passage of being an entrepreneur. It comes with the territory. It doesn't have to stop you.
Yeah.
My husband and I love each other very much, and he also loves having worked for the same company for 18 years.
Yeah.
When I was in the 9-to-5 world, I changed jobs multiple times in the span of just a few years. You know what I mean? Like we're just diametric opposites that way. And he's very supportive, but I also don't talk a lot about what's going on in the nitty-gritty of the business because, again,
right.
I wouldn't trade places with him in his career. I love him. Right. I don't want to work for a company, let alone for 18 years. Right?
Right.
Not so like, so we give ourselves permission to focus on other things and to celebrate the wins and all of that, but like not continuing to ask for his advice or even frankly, listen to his input because it's not in alignment. Like it doesn't make sense for me it's not, you know what I mean? And I totally get that. Like my grandma still tells me all the time that she like doesn't think that what I'm doing is a good idea. I've been doing it for 3 years and I love her. And also she's 85 and never wanted to be an entrepreneur and is not the person that like speaks into my life in that way. You know what I mean? Like I have a million stories like that. Celia does too. So just be encouraged that like you can be on this journey. You can you can be successful even with pressure from people outside of you who have no idea what you're doing and may or may not approve. Because guess what? Oh, I have this quote on my desk. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Steve Jobs. Everybody has an opinion about what you should be doing. Guess what? Nobody else has to live in your body and is responsible for your life. Would you add to that? That was a rant. So
that was a good rant. Oh, yeah. I will add that I am not in the business of taking unsolicited free advice. And in a way, when anybody is doing that, whether they're telling you that they don't believe in you or they don't believe in your business or whatever, that's unsolicited free advice.
Yep.
And it's just like, I'm not in that business. And I'm also not in the business of giving unsolicited advice. Yeah. We're in here. This is a committed community. Yeah. The people, those of you that are on this live stream, you're committed. You want to be here. So, we're dropping our wisdom for you. Right. But we're not like out there, like trying to coach everybody for free, so that's just something to think about, that discernment.
Putting your focus like on helping the people who want to be helped. As opposed to like what I used to do was like try to convince my husband to monetize all of his hobbies because I thought that entrepreneurship was the best thing for everyone. And he's like, why are you putting this pressure on me? Oh, because I am not directing my energy in the right way. I'm not helping people who want to be helped. I'm offering unsolicited advice. Whoops. Yeah, totally have been guilty about that. Guilty of that. It was definitely freeing when I cleaned up my email and unsubscribed from all the junk. It's so awesome. It so is. Entrepreneurs are leaders. We're leaders now, ladies. Life with passion has been a guiding light to remind me of that. Boom. I love it. Okay, Celia, do you want to talk a little bit about solving the right problem? Should we talk a little bit about that? Let me give you some examples. And if you guys have any questions, if you ladies have any questions, please drop them in the comments so that we can answer them for you. Okay? Because we want to be super helpful and that's why we're here. So if you have questions, drop them.
Yes.
So when we talk about solving the right problem, here are some of the things that you might be stuck on or struggling with right now. Pricing and packaging your expertise. That might be one. That's one that I see a lot. Maybe how to talk to people to make them buy, how to create content that converts, how to take the right action, how to get your stuff out there to the right people, how to stop hiding out, right? What are some other things that you're seeing right now that are keeping women stuck, Celia?
Well, I would say it's so much of looking for those external tools that are going to fix everything. The marketing, as that's what I really see a lot of women stuck on, is the marketing.
Yeah.
And and just getting caught up in this headspace of things that really don't produce money or make
Yes.
a big difference.
Yes.
And avoiding sales.
Yep.
That one of my coaches even said that it's like she said it's an epidemic that she sees with women, and especially spiritual, soulful, sensitive entrepreneurs. It's a huge epidemic.
Yeah.
But if you're not, so taking it back, I just want to pause, zoom out for a second on some of the things that Christine highlighted and the burnout story and all of that, and just touch for a second on that. Solving the right problem, and also looking how solving the wrong problem is affecting your income, right? Because if you're trying to focus on these external tools, and like a tool bag is only useful when you know how to use the hammer, when you know how to use the screwdriver, right? Like the tools are only effective as the knowledge that the one in possession, holds.
Yes.
So the same thing goes for all of the marketing tools and all the social media tools and the blogs and the Instagram and the Pinterest and blah, blah, blah. I mean, from when we got started a couple years ago to where things are now, it's like you could easily get caught up on trying to do a couple, 3 platforms. And I'm sure some of you are like doing 10 platforms, and, there's just so many, it's exploded. But anyway, the tools are only as valuable as, your ability to operate them. Okay. Totally. So when we look at the income, like Christina brought in that example of she had her income limit. Okay. And those are real. Okay. Those really happen, and they happen from your mind, from your mindset in your head, and that alignment of knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and knowing where you're going. Okay. If you don't know those things, you're definitely going to be sitting in and just kind of stuck with the income. So when you're trying to solve that problem, it's very important to look at, am I facing an external thing where I literally don't have the right tools? Yeah. Or is it more of an internal thing where I don't know who I am and I don't have the actual thinking, mindset, belief tools that are going to bring my brilliance out? Because where we are right now, Christine, can I go into a little bit of my... Oh, I think you're frozen, or I'm frozen.
Frozen. You're frozen?
No. You're frozen on my screen.
I'm frozen. I am too. Okay, keep going. Myself often that.
It could be my connection.
No, I'm to you. You say what you're going to say.
I'll say what I was going to say. All right. We're breaking up the energy.